Truth Driven Thinking number 84 on giving my life to ministry.
Knowledge is the difference between love and mass murder. You can't do anything unless you care to look further. Knowledge is the difference between love and mass murder. You can't do anything unless you care to look further.
Welcome back to Truth Driven Thinking, where we certainly don't have claims about ever elusive truth, but we're looking for truth. Can you believe it has been a year and a half since we last had a chance to visit together? Where does time go? I surely hope that this is finding you well. So much has happened and changed. For me, some good, some very difficult. Readers of my blog have some sense of what I've been up to in that time. But here's the bottom line that you need to know, and that is that I'm back, hopefully for a very long time. Though, of course, I've learned that I don't predict the future very well. But anyway, so much to share today, so much that I hope to learn with you by my side, and hopefully with some help and input by you, because I can't do it without you. You know, time and again, wherever I go and whatever I do, I've become convinced that for many people in today's world, including me, it can be difficult to find authentic, open-minded, and intelligent people with whom I can have safe, substantive, stimulating, and open conversations, and where emotions mastered such that all honest thoughts and inquiries are fair game. Now, this podcast has been an attempt to bridge that gap a little bit, and I'm hopeful that with your help there are some exciting new ways we can take that a step further. But first things first, my name is Stephen L. Gibson. My email is sgibson@truthdriventhinking.com. There is a new website, finally, at truthdriventhinking.com. And even more importantly, from there you will find a link to some other developments, including an upcoming, very cool new social learning community and technology platform called a truth.bloomfire. Launching very soon, this truth.bloomfire uses social technology that combines the power of peer learning with access to some of your great minds and exclusive content, while also supporting the truth-driven thinking programming and mission through a modest membership fee. Now, the Bloomfire platform isn't just another forum or blog. It's a social learning platform. It's simple, but it's better suited for a community interested in knowledge and content sharing and user-generated media, perhaps better than like a Facebook. And topics and posts don't just fly by with time like they do there, but will remain as topics and educational resources that can be expanded upon like a forum, yet in a whole host of multimedia and social ways that forums really don't typically allow. Moreover, it aspires to be this safe refuge from an emotion-driven world where together we can transcend the empty promises of pseudoscience, self-help, motivational platitudes, and even religious dogma to simply follow evidence and reason wherever they take us, and maybe even learn to better communicate with the dogmatists of the world whose evidence we dispute. Now, more on that when that launches in June, but there will also be some perks and access to information that I think you'll enjoy as well, in addition to the community and the warm, fuzzy feeling that you get from supporting the mission of truth-driven thinking. But lest I get ahead too far, in today's Relaunch announcement episode, I'm going to share some information about my motivations in all of this and in trying to make available a whole new set of options for raising consciousness about the dangers of emotion-driven thinking and holding any beliefs or dogma above critical scrutiny, and also options for sharing experience and knowledge as a community of fellow truth seekers. So, many of you have heard me talk about this in the past, that it just isn't about knowledge and skepticism. We're still humans. Emotion, social connections, those things matter as well. And as a skeptic, I've felt and argued that the skeptic's soul needs to be filled as well. Real quickly, before I do that, just a couple of things. First, in case there's anyone still listening to this podcast, and I'm joking, there have actually downloads through this whole period have remained fairly strong after being gone, so I hope that continues. But I want to very much thank you, the oh so kind and generous listeners. Even while I've been gone, you've sent notes, you've inquired about my well-being, and you've been kind in sharing your own experiences and thoughts with me. Now, some of you explore issues with me on Facebook, and I'll plug Stephen L. Gibson with a PH, which has been a lot of fun. The point, though, that I want to make is I need to profusely and profoundly thank you, as I will try to get my daughter to articulate out of her experiences studying Arabic away from home for the first time at the University of Michigan last year. Sometimes our conservative Christian community can feel a little bit myopic, honestly, and constraining. And some of you kind and wonderful people, many of whom I've not ever met in person, have been an intellectual retreat of sorts for me in what can continue to be, frankly, challenging experiences culturally where I live. And frankly, being the converted non-theist brings its share of scrutiny and even serves as a convenient means of persecution and attack in one situation of late. But we're going happy places today. So the point is, thank you again, sincerely. The second thing, before I share my motivations for being back and for trying to expand truth-driven thinking into a few new areas, is just a couple of words on the podcast itself. The basic plan is to maintain the guest format and topic for each show, single topic for each show, which we've done for quite a while. We may even be able to talk to our old friend Tim Bennett and get him to join us on occasion, or maybe you will join me on occasion along this journey. Some attempts at intellectual, honest debate may also fall into the mix, but more on that as we figure it out over time. There are some logistics challenges that we're working on. So I'm pleased to announce, though, that our first guest is going to be Tom Clark from the Center of Naturalism, which is an area of great interest to me, and we'll be getting into the mind-blowing challenges that come with questioning free will. So all you libertarian objectivist and Randians, you listeners may want to do your shot of whiskey and relax and drop me some questions, actually, if you can think of it ahead of time, if you're familiar with Tom's work. As always, however, you can drop me email at sgibson@truthdriventhinking.com with any thoughts or input or ideas. So for the rest of today, however, I am going to share the personal motivations behind the vision for truth-driven thinking and disclose maybe a couple of nuggets as well. So the following is an adaptation of a blog post that I'll be releasing today called Giving My Life to Ministry, sort of, which is an open essay about my motivations. And that goes roughly like this. Dear fellow life travelers, the great author and thinker and mythologist Joseph Campbell said correctly that we deliver the most benefit to the world when we find our bliss and live it. I can honestly say that since about 2003, I've pretty much given my life and a significant portion of my former treasure to what I see as both a humanitarian effort and finding my own bliss through that which nourishes me and passions me and helps me grow. Only now can I articulate this bliss as a long-time calling to ministry. And today I want to inform you of my effort to pursue the remaining days of my existence, including professionally if possible, through that mission. I've long joked with friends that I would wind up in an airport someday handing out flowers. My fate definitely is not that, especially because such a role would appear to involve dogma and an inability to question authority. But it could be some reciprocal version of that holds no beliefs above critical scrutiny and teaches the primacy of mutual understanding and the golden rule. Of course, mine is a naturalistic ministry that seeks to move us beyond the failed and sometimes dangerous promises of self-help, emotion-driven thinking, logical fallacies, New Age wackiness, pseudoscience, and supposed certainty about unknowable supernatural claims. So I should be clear that there's no supernatural force calling me, but rather my own brain, emotions, interests, skills, and honestly, a deep recognition of human suffering. In short, I've set out on a journey to fund and sustain the mission and educational offerings of truth-driven thinking, and to build that related social learning community. If you can assist me with that mission, I will be eternally grateful. But that said, this communication is in the interest of sharing my personal motivations and choices with friends, family, and others who have an interest. Essentially, this is the what and the why. My apologies that this is so all about me. It's a topic that doesn't really interest me, that being me, and I won't be offended if it doesn't interest you, but it seemed somehow necessary to offer up some details just in case someone wants them about my motivations. The truth is that I have a very difficult time being motivated or caring about doing the things which our culture and society tell me I'm supposed to do. I don't disagree with those who contribute meaningfully to the world through traditional roles or even pursuits of self-interest. You know, those things mattered hugely, even though I, to some degree, now question some of the great virtue Ludwig von Mises and Ayn Rand might attach to self-interest, but that's for another day. The point is that, try though I may, I can't seem to be motivated by the status or the rewards of being the metaphorical sofa king of Kalamazoo, perhaps for reasons relating to personal baggage and experiences that I'll visit in a moment. But that does not mean I don't have fire and passion and dedication to other things. So what are you going to do, Steve? Well, the point here is that truth-driven thinking will hopefully, under my full-time guidance, be able to initially, and I hope sustainably, expand its mission to improve the well-being of humanity through the promotion of social, emotional, and intellectual growth as a new, evolving, and radically different kind of organization, one I will again call a ministry. Now, I ask some leeway in the use of the term, as I've expressed in a link in the show notes before, that I think that's an applicable term, so you can visit my article on that. But in general, you can think of this as a virtual and hopefully someday physical unchurch or knowledge church or learning community, think tank, or even social media platforms suited for learning, but in any case, a force dedicated to the intellectually honest free exchange of ideas and evidence-driven explorations of life's most important questions and issues. For many people in today's world, it can be difficult to find authentic, open-minded, and intelligent people with whom we can have safe, substantive, stimulating, and open conversations where emotion is mastered such that all honest thoughts and inquiries are fair game. It's my dream to grow an organization that will continue the work of promoting improved estimates of reality as the primary path to improving human well-being. Further, it's my goal that the Truth-Driven Thinking organization will be a ministry that seeks to feed both the soul and the intellect and hopefully illuminates alternative paths to beauty and joy, provisional knowledge, wonder, awe, and new discoveries, while shedding the bondage of dogma and certainty. But what really motivates me to be so idealistically stupid? Well, we all have likes and dislikes, unique personalities, genetics and life experiences, and environmental influences that make us exactly who we are today. And I'm of little doubt that I am fully caused by those things, in this case to be called to this kind of work, or ministry, if you will. It might be noted that when I was a committed Christian, I many times pondered becoming an ordained minister. So it seems that a life of ministering and tending to human needs while pondering big questions was somehow interwoven into my DNA and experiences. In fact, when asked if I won the lottery today what I would do, a leading option would be to study comparative religion, early Christian history, and philosophy. There's so much insight and value that we can gain from seeing the truth of human myths and applying them to our own lives. But to be more specific, I'm confident that the sudden loss of my father when I was 17, after my mother's cancer and before her subsequent death within a decade, has shaped me profoundly. Most of what I thought I knew about my life and about how the world would look was gone in an instant, or at least upended in an instant, or two instances actually. Though my logical brain knows of the need for retirement savings and even making a modest living in the present, when I look around the world, I find those things very difficult to prioritize as goals in and of themselves. Though to the best of my knowledge, I never felt anger over the losses. To the contrary, I felt gratitude for the time I'd spent with amazing people. Three things have become very clear to me in the last 20 years. These things were further underscored by other profound losses that I experienced as a result of death. In fact, I'll cut to the chase and say that death and darkness to some degree give meaning and perspective to life and light for me. What would life mean if there were no death? Would you like to live forever, for 1 trillion years? So 3 lessons I've learned. Lest I digressed, here are those 3 lessons I learned again and again, and the ones that have made my ministry a calling, if you'll allow that language again, that I just can't reject. 1, life is short and it's unpredictable, and all the retirement savings, the money, the material success, or job promotions you could possibly amass will mean less in the end than we think, especially if we're not working in the areas of our so-called bliss, as Joseph Campbell called it. Number 2, human relationships are key. They define our very existence. Without human relationships, without sharing and love and cooperation and learning and hurt and the myriad ways we interact, life would be utterly without meaning from my perspective. Yet we are not always very good at these relationships sometimes, and we sadly take them for granted or allow dogma, fears, and xenophobia and material desires to divide us and lead us to hurting one another. Number 3, life involves a tremendous amount of human suffering. If yours doesn't, and that's not your experience, be grateful. It's probably this latter point that most seems to illuminate the beauty and joy in my life and curse my ability to settle into a narrow, prescribed path. Life truly is too short for us to settle for needless pain and suffering of humans, settle for living anything less than fully, settle for loving anything less than wastefully in our relationships, settle for insecurity or ego to keep us from living and loving fully. My old paradigms, my old black and white narratives about how the world worked and why, my old arrogant presumptions about what supernatural gods had ordained me to do or not to do, my old ignorant and elitist beliefs that I had material things because I had somehow made better choices than others around me who were suffering. Those have all been forced from my head since beginning my journey to put truth ahead of ego. Now, this is not intended to be an expose on human suffering, but suffice to say that for now, billions live daily in hunger. They die in totalitarian regimes, lose families in disease to war and tsunamis and earthquakes and fires, and inflict horrors on one another that we in the West probably can't begin to imagine. And this is not a guilt trip, it's an observation. There is scarcity in the world, scarce water and natural resources, food, and even time and energy. My free will elitism turned out to be as able to fuel my ignorance of human suffering as some forms of karma allow others to dismiss them as fully earned and deserved. Thus, if I can help it, I'm not going to waste my days doing anything but the work I'm naturally called to do, which involves trying to mitigate human suffering in whatever small ways I can through pursuit of truth about how the world works. And by encouraging us all to drink from the cup of life, pursue truth, and not be shy about that pursuit of ever-elusive truth, and certainly by recognizing our own fallibilities. My hope is to exemplify kindness and humility and promote a desirous utilitarian outlook that seeks the greatest good for the greatest number of people, at least in terms of public policy decisions. Also, to promote continuous growth in intellectual honesty and self-awareness, and promote science, reason, and logic as the best tools for estimating how the world might really work and for fixing or improving it in terms of public policy. For details on my argument that following truth and evidence and logic wherever they lead us are the best tools for improving things, you can visit my updated website at truth.bloomfire.com. So toward a new success. For now, however, I'm confessing as I move toward a new success, I once considered myself successful. Today I consider myself in many conventional ways even a bit of a failure, though largely by conscious choice, I have to say, since I'm learning and growing tremendously in the ways that matter most to me. It's a delicate balance. The upshot of all this is that although I very much need to earn money and make a living and educate and support my children in order that they might contribute to the world meaningfully as well, I simply feel that I don't have options. I'm honored and appreciative beyond words to say that I have the support of the children, my significant other, my family, and even I think my former wife. And I'm very grateful. They know that I am compelled to try to make whatever living I can by doing the only thing that I possibly can do at this juncture, and that is to pursue my passionate search for estimations of truth and pay even more careful attention to feeding souls as I continue my journey out of complete ignorance. I'm a reforming, emotion-driven thinker. I must pursue my edification and my naturalistic ministry of helping others see that there is a difference between being fallible, as we all are, and being told that we're crazy for thinking, for facing reality, for abandoning nonsensical prescriptions that insult our intelligence and run contrary to all available evidence. If, despite my continued effort, my continued diligence, I crash and burn, at least I will have tried. And I will have lived. And based upon mail I still receive about my novel and the podcast, I will have connected with humans whom I don't even really know, but according to them, have been helped in some small way along their own journey through that sharing. That's good enough for me. So in summary, I fear I have much in common with a central character in that novel who had returned from Vietnam to make millions on Wall Street, but found emptiness in the rewards of having mastered a financial and geopolitical game that didn't really matter to his soul. He didn't beg for money, and I will try not to, but I will indeed rely upon offerings as well as hopefully sponsorships and advertising in order to live my mission. Hard work has never scared me, and I will do what it takes, even if that means delivering proverbial pizzas or literal pizzas on the side. That said, my hope is that, like everyone, I can best give to the world by doing that which is my bliss and my passion. And make no mistake, I thoroughly enjoy that moment of cognitive dissonance when I find out yet again that the evidence says I'm wrong yet again. And the world works differently than I thought, as Edison searching for a way to make a light Every time I find out that I'm wrong or that science has gotten it wrong, I celebrate the openness to new information and bask in the feeling of being one tiny step closer to a humanity better equipped to fix itself and coexist. Even if solely as a fellow journeyer, perhaps in some way, you can join me in this effort. It would be an honor and a pleasure. So that was the message from the blog. With that, again, I say, welcome back. I'm so glad that you're here. Look for me on Facebook. Send me an email at sgibson@truthdriventhinking.com or contribute your own stories or experiences or opinion pieces to the upcoming Truth Bloomfire. So more on that soon. I'm Stephen L. Gibson, and I look forward to sharing some baby steps with you on that road to ever-elusive truth. But for now, here's what my son and his band, the Thought Police, would probably say to me. We'll see you soon.
I can't fathom dealing with you anymore. Now,